There are so many great campsites out there just waiting to be found, ready for weekend getaways with the family or with your friends, or even just camping on your own. So how do we find these perfect campsites? In this video we'll share how we find these amazing campsites time and time again. Get away from it all, escape the city, whether it is for a weekend or a week. Get out and find your own amazing campsites. So I'd say 99% of our campsites that we go to are found on Hipcamp. It's a great app, and I tend to prefer using it online on my laptop so you can have a decent look at the map. Search the map, you can search the locations and just see exactly where you want to go and what's available in that area. You see everything from what's available at that campsite. You generally get good photos of what the campsite looks like before you go or before you book it, and most of them are reasonably priced too. You get to see the costings, what's available, firewood, toilets, facilities like that, which most of them are just bush camping, and that's why we prefer to use Hipcamp. There's also Wikicamps. Wikicamps is a great option as well, and we'll be using that a lot once we get on the road. It tends to show more of your free camps and general camping areas where you can pull up for a night and that type of thing. For now, Hipcamp is our number one, and Wikicamps is also a great option to find those free camps or cheap camps. With us being budget conscious, we do prefer the cheaper camps, which Hipcamp, you can look through them, have a scroll and find the camp that you'd like to go to and check out the pricing before you actually book it. A lot of them, because we are budget minded, we like to do things on the cheap, hate paying a lot of money for those campsites. Yes, you do pay that around Brisbane and the Gold Coast hinterland sort of area where you're on a nice river with nice grass, nice creek, but we've also found some of those little hidden gems for sort of $15–20 a night. They're the ones that we look for, and most of that's per person. You do get the odd cheaper one, but that's about the average going rate, which is great value considering what you'd pay at a caravan park, and we don't do caravan parks, and we may do in the future, but I can't justify paying that 50 or 60 or upwards per night for a powered site, water and everything, when we don't really need it. But there will come a time when we do need to check into a caravan park to catch up on some washing, maybe plug in to charge the batteries after a couple of cloudy weeks, top up the water tanks. But generally we'll be camping in our van off-grid, solar powered. As long as we got water, that's all we need. So Hipcamp being our number one, and like I said, you can have a look at the photos and check out what the campsite looks like before you get there. This one that we're on here at present, Collies Dam it's called. It's just west of Warrell View, Harrisville, south of Ipswich, in that area. It's fairly cheap. I think it was about $30 a night for the two of us, which that's about the normal for us. That's what we'd pay. We'll show you around what you can expect for that sort of money. It is only a new Hipcamp, and I don't think it's been open that long. But there is camping available from where we are set up in the corner there. You can camp in the paddock, but there's not a lot of level ground. But being this side of the fence line and having this massive big freshwater dam right here, it's great. You could get your van in here and set up and be right on the water's edge. But like I said, it's not overly level. There is a few wheel ruts. Bit of an adventure getting in here. A couple of steeper, loose gravelly hills, a couple of narrow gates. Like this one here, you wouldn't get a caravan through there and turned around. But perfect for those rooftop tents, your normal tents, swags, that type of thing, camping in your gazebo, and you wake up looking at that in the morning. How good. Wikicamps will probably be our go-to as well as Hipcamp, using both of those together once we do get out on the road. Talking about free and cheap camping, it shows just about every campsite, and a few of your Hipcamp listings are on there as well. But it shows you what's available, your points of interest, where your water fill points are, your dump points. So Wikicamps is a great option. It's got all that information in one app. Even though I'm not a big fan of the new app, and I know a lot of people aren't, compared to the old app that seemed to be so easy to use. I had a few hiccups with the new app, but getting my head around it now, it just shows you everything that you need. So Wikicamps would be our number two if you're just searching, and that's what we do in our off time. If we're sitting at home, not much to do on a weekend, there's always stuff to do, but generally instead of scrolling through Facebook, I'll just jump on Hipcamp, Wikicamp, spend an hour or two just scrolling through, having a look at all these different campsites to see what's available. and it's a great way to see what is out there too, and take note as you're scrolling through of where those water fill points are, your dump points, that type of thing, so you know exactly when you're camping in that area, you know where they are, so you don't have to go searching for them again. So Wikicamps would be number 2, but using those together is definitely a great option too, so you get all the information that you need from sitting on your lounge or in your bed at home, and I prefer to do that than looking at a lot of the stuff on Facebook these days. Third option too, new app, well it's not a new app but it's new to me, I've just downloaded it a while ago, is the Camps Australia Wide app. We have got the book. It weighs a ton. It's a bit big and bulky to be carting around with you, especially when you're watching your weight. I mean, you're going to be travelling Australia and trying to take everything that we need with us, so you don't want to be carting a big book around when you can have it on an app on your phone. And I haven't really looked at it too much yet, but I do believe it shows some other alternative campsites as well to the ones on Wiki and Hipcamp. Shows you dump points, your fill points, other points of interest and that type of thing, just from the little bit of looking at it that I've done and trying to get my head around that one. So that's probably option 3 as well, and using all 3 of those together, surely you can find a campsite that's near you or where you're planning on going for your next holiday, your adventure, whether it's just a quick weekend getaway, an overnighter, or for a couple of weeks over school holidays. There's so many options out there, and being able to see those photos on the app before you actually head off, you know what you're in for. So 3 options there, and that's what we use: Hipcamp, Wikicamp and Camps Australia Wide. That'll be the 3 that we need. There's a few others out there, Campermate, and I can't remember the others, but I don't think we really need to be looking any further than those 3. So that'll do us, and that's how we can find these places. Over 20 campsites in the last probably 18 months, all from Hipcamp, and a few others off of Wikicamp. But when you find spots like this, and yeah, this may not be the best campsite that we've ever been to, but it's perfect for a weekend getaway when you just want to escape the city madness, get away from the traffic and people, and come out here and there is no noise whatsoever. A few planes flying over there before, otherwise it's just the birds in the trees, the ducks on the dam, plenty of kangaroos hopping around. It's just wildlife, and it's just magic being in these spots, especially when you've got it all to yourself. So besides the campsite where we are up on the corner there, there's probably another campsite in the middle here, Colley's Dam, and then you've got this big area down the back here, which also point out there's a couple of kayaks here, the owner's kayaks. It's available for use to get out on the dam and go for a paddle around. You can swim out there, and if the sun comes back out later, with it being 30+ degrees today, I can see me ended up in there for a cool down. But this is sort of the other corner of the camping area. It's reasonably level. There's a few humps and hollows. Fire drums are supplied, and firewood is also supplied on this property. You just got to go and source it yourself. You just pay to check with the owner whether you can bring your chainsaw to chop up any logs and stuff that are laying on the ground. You definitely don't go chopping down standing trees, and that applies anywhere. But there's no shortage of firewood around the place. So if you were camped here, fire there, overlooking the dam, another great spot. But plenty of shady trees. Always be careful of what's above you when you do go to set up. Those branches can drop off some of these trees at any time. The old iron barks are pretty good, but the gum trees, you just never know with them. So unpredictable. You don't want to be underneath one of them if they come down on top of your tent or your caravan, your motorhome. One thing I've never ever seen with all the hip camps we've been to, a 4-burner barbecue set up at your campsite. Hey? How good is that? That is a great thing by the owners here. Super friendly, by the way, too. We met Sue coming in yesterday afternoon, and she opened the gates for us. We didn't even have to get out and open a gate. And then Brad dropped down this morning just to say g'day, make sure everything was all good. He sent me a message last night to make sure we got in all right. Access wise, I will say, coming in was a little bit of an adventure with those couple of not slippery but loose gravelly hills and a couple of narrow gates, so you do need to know what you're doing. We towed our 16-foot Jayco in here, not a problem, but it was very tight. We're only talking about an inch to get through one of the narrow gateways coming in, so you do need to know what you're doing, and some of it's a little bit off camber as well, so just need to be mindful and a little bit of off-road experience to to know what you're doing to get into these places. Even when we come in late yesterday afternoon, just before dark, and got set up there, when you're turning caravans around on the side of a hill, even though it's not overly steep, you do need to know what you're doing. So access wise, in dry weather, yeah, 2-wheel drive, you'll get in here all right. But if you got a bit of rain, I'd strongly advise 4-wheel drive and a bit of clearance coming through, because the track was a little bit up and down here and there. Camper trailers would be perfect in here, not a problem. But anything bigger than a 16, 18 foot caravan, I think you might struggle a little bit. Overall, it is a great spot and it's cheap. And that's why we love using Hipcamp. So the Hipcamp app itself is very easy to use. But like I said before, I prefer to use it on the laptop. So I will leave a link in the description of this video to get onto Hipcamp, and I just use the laptop 99% of the time, but quite easy using the Hipcamp app on your phone. Plus you can sit in bed on your phone and just Google through it. But generally, when I go to book something, I'll jump on the laptop and organise it through there. Wikicamps, I have got that on my computer as well, but had to download third-party stuff to get it on there. I can't even remember how I did it. So most of the time, just use Wikicamps on the phone. It does give you the contact details for the owners of properties where you do need to book and pay in advance to be able to stay on their properties. It's not like Hipcamp, it's not a booking app. Some of them will refer you back to Hipcamp if they are those Hipcamp camping properties. Otherwise, it'll give you the contact details, and you can get in contact with the owner and make that booking if need be. But it's the free camps, that's the bonus. The free and cheap camps with Wikicamps is a good thing. It gives you all the directions, how to find it, locations, what's around the area. So Wiki is a good thing in itself, but you just can't book online or through that app. Looking at this area from the other corner, there is a few holes and washouts down here, but still plenty of area where you'd be able to get a caravan down in here and turn around. Just be careful you don't drop into any of these holes. But you could easily get right over into this corner here as well. This is a little bit rough with a few ruts and that type of thing, washouts. But with a bit of clearance and a bit of know-how, you'd quite easily get in here. I don't know if you can see it, but it's not the most level campsite, but there's level areas between the ups and downs, so you'd still be able to find somewhere to set up. I did throw a line in this morning, couldn't help myself. Just a bit of corn on the hook, see if there was any carp in the dam. Haven't been fishing for ages. So itchy feet, fishing over there just in front of camp. Did have a bite early, but nothing since. Plenty of ducks on the dam, I think they were stealing me corn. But having waterfront views and being able to throw a line in 10 metres from your awning doesn't get any better. Now this is probably the end of the road for any sort of camping. It's not very level and not very wide up through here, so I'll be alright for a swag. We'll get your vehicle in with a rooftop tent on, but I wouldn't be bringing a caravan up into here, so you're more limited to anywhere across that end. Just watching out for those holes, and it would be a bit tricky to get in. With a van, you'd have to come in where we're set up over there and do a 3 or 10 point turn to be able to get back down the fence line and over into this corner. I think there is pictures on Hipcamp where there's a caravan parked over in there somewhere, so it's doable. But like I say, you just need to know what you're doing and being mindful you don't park under these trees with any big branches coming down on top of you. How good is this big dam? Yeah, the water's dirty, but it's clear. It's just stained from tree leaves and whatever else. But massive big dam. Might have to go and jump on a kayak and go for a paddle. So if the dam was full, this here is the spillway. She'd be overflowing and running straight out through there. So it is down probably a good 2 or 3 foot from being full. Has been very hot the last few weeks, and probably a good few weeks since we've had any decent rain out here, but everything's still nice and green and plenty of grass. And as I said before, there's no shortage of firewood. You just have to ask and make sure you can use a chainsaw to cut up any of this dead timber that's on the ground. Watching out for snakes as well in this sort of country, especially around a bit of water. They could be anywhere. Like the sign says, keep out. The owner's pump shed, you don't want to be interfering with any of the owner's stuff at all, whatever he uses the water for. Most likely stock water, I'd say. There's quite a few cattle on this property. It's a bit over 100 acres. Magic property, it is nice and hilly, which does make it a little bit tricky for caravanning or getting anything in with low clearance. But overall, great spot for a weekend getaway, and I would recommend checking it out for yourself. If you like nothing, lots of peace and quiet, just nature, the birds in the trees, the kangaroos hopping around. Well, there you go. We've been right around the dam, had a full look around. So campsites, there's probably one, maybe two. You might fit 2 or 3 up in the end there. But it is a great spot. A little bit of a challenge to get in, but if you're up for adventure like we are, it's well worth it. Makes it that bit more rewarding when you do get in. And thanks to Hipcamp for this one, finding it online. I don't know how long it's been open for, but there's not many reviews, so I don't think it's been open for too long. But we'll be leaving them a great review as well, and an honest review at that. You see a lot of reviews out there, but we try to keep it honest and just tell it how it is. And you're better off knowing that the track's a bit washed out. If you try and get your barina in here, it ain't going to happen. You need a bit of clearance. So 2-wheel drive, yes, with a bit of experience, and you'll get in no problem at all. And no doubt, once we get home from this weekend away, be back to work, try and save some more money, getting ready for our big trip away. Well, not a trip, our new life on the road. Make sure you do subscribe to our channel and you won't miss anything. There'll be upcoming episodes of how we're going to go about preparing for this, which we've already started preparing 12 months ago. And the thought's been up here for quite a long time. So we know what we want to do. It's just being able to put it into practice, and we'll be bringing out a video very shortly on that, on step 1 of how we go about packing up our life and getting ready to live in our little caravan and the D-Max anywhere. You can also check us out, and please jump on and follow us on Facebook and Instagram as well. Every weekend we get away, we're given daily updates, sometimes twice a day, of what we're up to, where we're at, and it's good entertainment, some of it too. So jump on there, check us out. Thanks very much for your support. Really appreciate it, guys. There he goes. Hey, come here, dinner. Come here, dinner. Come here, dinner. Dinner! Oh, dinner. Well, it looks like it's chicken wings for dinner. No goanna on the spit. So when you're hip camping, there's so many different ways of cooking dinner. Yeah, you could have a barbie plate, throw a steak on, cook a chop, but with the Oz spit, there's so many options. You've seen before, we've cooked roast chicken, roast lamb, roast pork, tried a few different things, a bit of pork belly, but this is a first for us, trying chicken wings in the basket, and as an entree, a bit of cabana spinning around on the spikes on the end. I can't wait to see how this turns out. Thanks to the Oz spit, life is good when you're hip camping. Check this out. Chicken wings on the Oz spit for dinner. Well, that's how we find these magic campsites time and time again. Most of them are nearly perfect. Now this one this weekend, it was up there, it's not bad, but a bit of a mission getting in to the property and getting out of this campsite. A bit of 4-wheel drive and possibly a bit of low range to get up a steeper hill. So check that out as we finish off the video. Thanks very much for watching, guys. Make sure you do subscribe to our channel, and also jump on Facebook and Instagram and follow us there. Stay up to date with where we're at in real time, and we'll see you on the next Brandyscape adventure in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys. See you soon.